And then after the Avs game last night, of course, the Denver Nuggets played 3/4 of a basketball game against the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yeah. Which is interesting. So there's one more game left in the bubble for seeding, but the Nuggets are now locked into the third seed and will be playing the Utah Jazz for the playoffs. And of course, the conspiracy theories have started online of are the Nuggets tanking for seeding?
Like they did last year.
Like
It's not like this is like a new thing.
they did last year, but it was like way more apparent, and it worked out in amazing fashion to avoid playing the Houston Rockets. But like looking at the bubble, I don't know why anyone thinks the Jazz or the Thunder or the Rockets or anyone are a safer bet for a team that has been perpetually injured and has not gotten into a full flow yet.
It's a weird strategy. I will say so. So the way that they lost, of course, is they didn't play any of the starters in the fourth quarter. It was the third game where they've kept out starters. One game it was really just Jokic, but Murray wasn't playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also did this against the Lakers. They were competitive, especially in the first two games, where it was like with 5 minutes left, they would have won if they would have just put in anybody else. I mean, the Clippers wasn't that impressed with the Clippers. Like I think the Nuggets could make it a series against them, which a lot of people don't. But it's still frustrating. And the thing is, they could have just not played anyone in the first quarter and gotten the same number of minutes. So saying that this was just a save minutes thing, there are ways to save minutes and still win that game.
Yeah, but for me, I'm just like Malone has at least played the long con if it really was tanking for seeding, in that he said like we've made it to the playoffs. This was before the bubble started. That's what our focus is going to be, and it's interesting, like, watching Michael Porter Jr. play and, like, okay, this is an NBA starter level talent. But the dude still just has Bambi legs sometimes, and you, like, see him, like, go up for rebounds or just, like, he ends up on the ground so much that every time it's just like, okay, yep, I knew it. Nug Life is back. He's hurt. And so from that perspective, just getting Murray back, Jokic, who's been the workhorse for seasons, I'm all right with him not playing starters in the fourth if it really doesn't matter, just so we can maybe be healthy for the start of the Utah series. There's rumblings that we may have a Gary Harris sighting on the court actually playing meaningful minutes, which is a weird one. I don't even know if I should feel excited about that. It's better than watching Torrey Craig chuck up threes. But I'm interested in this matchup because that was the only game in the last several that Nuggets starter stayed in the whole time and absolutely had to. Went to double overtime
Against the Utah
Jazz. And Donovan Mitchell, of course, lit it up. But I've been arguing with people on Reddit because they're feeling confident. And I'm like, why on earth do you feel good about Utah Jazz, who have always been the most, always, since the Nuggets have been good, have been the most difficult team for the Nuggets to play?
Well, and I mean, I would say, if you were going to say, who is the Nuggets' historical rival, it is Utah, just because there have been, Utah was so good in the Northwest when they had, the Karl Malone years. Jerry Sloan was the coach there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And, when the Nuggets were good in the 80s, the Utah Jazz were someone they were playing a lot. So I think that is it is the closest thing to a natural rival, also just proximity-wise, that the Nuggets have.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because of the proximity, because the Rocky Mountain teams that get no love or coverage, there's a solidarity thing. And after the Portland series, I just hate Portland fans way more.
Just wait.
Yeah, no, it's.
Do you remember the last time we played Utah in the playoffs? So I'm going to take you back, and it's going to be very painful.
Okay, let's go.
The year was 2010. George Karl had cancer, stopped coaching, and basically things devolved so badly that Melo stopped playing by the end of the Utah series and then demanded a trade right afterwards. So this is a team that has literally destroyed the franchise before in a first-round matchup that they were not favored to win.
Well, and that's why I'm terrified, is because Utah has more of an interesting storyline being the team that brought coronavirus to sports and stopped sports for 4 months. And I think Donovan Mitchell is going to be the marquee star that they're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just a really good team. Like Quinn Snyder, I'm biased already, but he's a terrifying human and a solid coach. And a healthy-ish Utah team matches up really well against a healthy-ish Denver team in that Rudy Gobert knows how to stop Jokic, at least from the scoring aspect, and they're a physical team, and Donovan Mitchell, when getting hot, is super hard to stop, whether you have Torrey Craig or an 85% healthy Gary Harris. I just would have rather played Dallas or the Thunder. I think teams that just don't have the same depth, or especially Jokic just knows how to beat up on their big men better than Gobert.
Yeah, I mean, he made Adams look crazy. Like, it was just crazy, the clinic he was putting on Adams when they were playing the Thunder. Yeah. I think, I think you're right in that, like, this is why you don't try to get seeding. Because if they lose this series, you second-guess all of this. And, like, that's one of the reasons that, like, I think just from a competitive nature, like, you might say, like, it would be better to play this team. But let's say Luka Doncic gets hurt in the first quarter of the first game. Then you're saying, like, of course it's 20/20 hindsight, but, like, this is why you don't try to tempt fate in sports.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And maybe it's a superstitious thing. But these things happen. We all know of these things happening.
No, you said it's tempting the fates is Greek tragedy. It's
yeah.
like you learn your fate and try to avoid it, and that's how you seal it. I feel uneasy, but I've been like tempering my expectations. This is a completely out of pocket situation we're in because of COVID and the shutdown and the bubble. Do you think this season is a waste if the Nuggets lose to the Jazz in the first round?
I think it's definitely not. I don't know that it's a waste, but you don't get any of the benefits of playing in the playoffs if you can't figure out a way to win this series. Like, you learn lessons in every playoff series. I think especially the series that you win, because those are the series you can build off of. And I think that it is a loss because you're going to lose the experience of having these guys, especially Porter, who this is his first playoff series. The guys from last year, I guess they know how to win a playoff series. They basically almost blew the Spurs series. Like, are we sure they know how to win a playoff series?
Yeah,
they tried their hardest to lose the only one they've won. But I do think, like, the experience you get from winning this far outweighs just, like, it doesn't really matter aspect of this. It's also, like, the neutral site thing is weird because you're not going to get, like, the home court advantage, which is heavy for the Nuggets.
Yeah,
but you also have to play on the
road.
road. Yeah,
except against the Jazz.
Yeah,
which they're only at 4,000 feet. We're at 5,000. But for me, I just want to see Murray have a consistent series, even if they lose. Of course, I'll be upset, but it would be late August, and so that's a weird time to be depressed about the Nuggets anyway. So for me, I'm looking to see if Porter can have some consistency, Murray have some consistency. That's what I would want to take into next season, but preferably take into the next playoff series against likely, I think, the Clippers or the Lakers.
Yeah, and I think, it would be the Clippers as long as they stay in the 3, so that'll be the next matchup.